Hello you guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chelsea and I'm a homeschool mom of two. I have a 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old daughter and then a 2.5-year-old son. So today what we're going to be talking about is my kindergarten daughters. It's her second round of kindergarten. The reason for this is if we were going into the public school system, she would be going into her kindergarten year. We did start a little bit early because she's a late September birthday. So I think the cutoff is September 1st. And so last year we're like, you know what, let's just go ahead and get started with our kindergarten year. So some stuff is kindergarten still, and then some stuff is gonna be first grade that you'll see. And I'm just going along with whatever she's ready for. So if any of that is of interest to you, stick around and find out. If you watched my last curriculum picks video, I talked about some of the stuff that you'll see today, and I'll be touching on that and how it's going so far. We're about a month into the school year. When I look at our math program, we're on week 5, so we're a little over a month into our official 26-27 school year. Some of the stuff has not changed, and then some of the stuff has changed. I just realized I didn't even put one program down here because I'm on the fence about it. So let's go ahead and get started with math because I can get through the fastest and it's the easiest to talk about, I think. Okay, so with math, we are, like I said, on week 5 of Math with Confidence. I ordered these spirals. I like these spirals better than the ones that click, but they're longer than my pages. And I don't know how, I need to probably just watch some videos about how to cut this and tie it, because this isn't really working out for me. Right now, I have the ones that open and close, and they open and close too easy sometimes. So I have this one, but again, the spirals, I'm to be decided about this. So we are on week 5 of Math with Confidence. Today was really fun. I love the fact that Math with Confidence brings in games for review and teaching concepts. So today we did the addition climb to the top game. Now I think it had you wanting to pull out cards from a pile, and we just rolled the dice. So I made it easier for us as well as learning math in a different kind of way. So we had 2 pairs of dice, and if it was less than 6 or greater than 10, the addition, when we rolled the 2 dice, it wouldn't count, and then the next person would go. So that was a skip or a miss per se. So we would roll the dice, and then she would have to figure out the addition that the 2 dice would add up to, and then we would color in a box. So this is one of the example of a game for Math with Confidence. I did print it off. It's in our book, but I printed off an additional copy just so if we wanted to use it more, I could just use it again, or I don't know. It was just easier this way than having the book in our lap. So Skylar beat me this time. She won this round. And then I did realize we got to a point in the unit where it was saying about subitizing, I believe is the phrase, of being able to subitize numbers 5 to 10. And so that's where you just look at a 10 frame and recognize that it's either 7, 8, what have you. And she was struggling with that. So I went on Canva and I made some little 10 frames with hearts. So I made the 10 frames, and this is kind of just a little review we've been doing before we get started with our math for today. Just because I didn't want to completely stop, but I was like, okay, I know this is additional review that she needed. So I think she's got it down now, but I did do this for a little while just to help with that. So that's an example of, if you're doing Math with Confidence, some ways that you can make it work for your child or your family. Next, let's go on to handwriting. Last year, we did handwriting without tears, and this year we are doing the Getty Dubay book B, and this has been great. So what I do is, I feel like parents wouldn't judge a kid's handwriting. Don't judge my kid's handwriting, okay? I didn't ask her for permission to share this. So I write her name out typically, and then she has to trace it. And then I'll circle which ones I want her to do for that day. So I did the same color, but I'll have her do row 1, 2, and 3 typically on day 1, and then row 4 and 5 typically on day 2. I do notice that she was struggling with keeping the words in boxes, so I've been writing boxes for her. And the boxes seem to work really well with keeping her on track and recognizing looking up and looking down and what words go where. So we're loving this program. It's not too complicated. And I feel like it's really helping her teach good handwriting. The thing, we did Math with Confidence, or not Math with Confidence. We did Handwriting Without Tears last year. And the thing that I did not like about Handwriting Without Tears is, if you notice, in this, it has the dashed line across the middle. Handwriting Without Tears instead would have a thick line, and then like an opening. And so there's no dash line. You're up, I call them upstairs letters, downstairs, and then in the basement is what I call it. Your upstairs would just kind of be floating in the abyss. And I didn't like that. So we've switched to this program. It's a little bit more slanty, a little bit more italicized, will hopefully translate well to when we eventually do cursive, and no complaints. All right, moving on to our biggest change, which I'm so thankful, honestly, you guys, that this is finally working out. If you saw my last video, we were still doing the good and the beautiful level K. This is the booster card for A. We were still doing the good and the beautiful K. And I think even in that last video, I was like, I don't want to do this program, but it's all that seems to be working so far. We got to group 2 sight words. And this was a 17. And in the book, we got stuck here. Like, we couldn't go on to the next lesson in the workbook because we were stuck here on this page. You guys, this is 369, 9 sight words on one page. And they have so many different phonetic rules. Like, they have so with the long O. There's or, R, which is a silent E. They had no long O, B with long E, of where the F makes a V sound, do, and then double O with look. It was just so many things. Like, she likes to understand why a sound sounds a certain way. And so I was trying to teach her that way, and this was just not working. And I'm glad, because I did not like this program, but it was all that was working at the time. So that's why we were sticking with it. Now, this is out the door. We're done with Good and Beautiful. What is working and what are we doing now instead, though? We have finally gotten All About Reading to work for our family. Now, I have had to customize it a lot to be able to work with my daughter. Some things that weren't working were, for example, this, I feel like the text on this page is pretty good, but for her, the text was really small. The pictures were distracting. And that's just in the storybook, for example. And then we also had the practice pages. The practice pages, I think, is this the same one? Yeah, this is the same practice page for the story that we're on currently. This page, when as a warm-up to the story, was super busy. Even if I was using papers, she knew that words were being hidden under the paper. And she would just look at it and be like, no, it's too much. There's too many things. And so it had like the words taught, it had phrases, and then it had names. So she would look at this and be like, I can't. She would get really overwhelmed, which, like, I get it, okay? I get it. So what have I done different to make this program work for my child and our family? I have taken, and I've been doing this for every lesson. I think we've done this for 2 full lessons now. Let me double check. I think 2 stories. So lesson 7 is 2 stories. Lesson 8, which was just learning words, we did that. And then we're on lesson 9 currently with this format of the program. So I took all the words and phrases on here and I transcribed it into here. So this is just like a little Erin Condren notebook that I have. So what we do is we read the word and then we write the word. We read the word and then we write the word. So it is working on handwriting still and a little bit of spelling practice at the same time. All About Reading typically doesn't want you working on handwriting and spelling. It's just working for my daughter. So this is what we're doing. So in order to learn the words, we did it this way. And it helps too because when we're learning the words, all these lines are blank, right? And so it's not as busy in the beginning. And as she gets closer to the bottom, she starts filling it in more. So this is how we work on the words. And then this is how we review the phrases. I don't have her write the phrases because they're typically a little bit longer. I would say this is day 1, learning. Day 2 is review and read. And then day 3, what we do today is we'll look through the pictures for the story and I'll be like, what do you think's going on in this story just based on the pictures? So we look at all the pictures, we get an idea of what we think the story is going to be about, and then I take the book away. My daughter also had a habit of when we had books with stories, she would just guess. Like this story is called Hit the Gas. She'd be like, brakes, car. And she would just call out words that were too big for her. She never read before, and she was just guessing what she thinks the story said. So we look at the pictures, and then we read the story from here. Now, again, this writing is a lot bigger font than the story in the book is, and I have it numbered, so I'll ask her to read what line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we only got to line 3 today before she started getting a little stir crazy. But yeah, I think it was because today's Monday when I'm recording this, and so it had been a few days where we had done these words that were going to be in the story. So we also reviewed all the words and phrases and then try to start the story. So, and we only got to line 3. So I think when she does it tomorrow, I think she'll do it a lot more efficiently. But that's just an example of how we're making the All About Reading program work for our family. And then I do have all of the flashcards that came in the All About Reading program, but I bought it used, and they were all so, and I'm so thankful I got it used, but it was so just like, all the cards were out of order, and trying to look for a card and find the card that goes with that lesson was just, it was really hard for me. And it took a lot more prep work than I was wanting to do. So what I've been doing is I just have like a practice with a little container here. What are these called? Like a shower curtain thing or binder clip? I don't know. So I took these and I made my own little clip for practice words, and then I have a star here because it's a sight word. So we have these 2 words that she is still practicing and she still gets hung up on a little bit. And then we have all of these words that if she sees it, she can read it pretty efficiently. She might have to break it down at first, but she doesn't need my help reading any of these words. So that is it for that's our biggest change. I would say that was a big change to our reading program, moving away from the good and beautiful to All About Reading. Is it gonna stick? I don't know. I'll probably still have to supplement every once in a while when she kind of hits a wall. I do have all of the activity sheets in here as well that we've been using. So if the activity seems like it's gonna be fun and entertaining, I'll pull it from there. But yeah, so we are doing All About Reading, and I'm really happy about that change, and I hope that it works out because it is really a great Orton Gillingham phonics-based program that I can get behind. So moving on, I honestly don't even know where it's at. I did purchase the Blossom and Root Language Arts #1. Now I do have all the books, they're all right here, and I did print out the student book. We're not really doing any of the student book. It's more so I'm just reading the story and we're having discussions. Sometimes it has really good journal prompts, and so I'll bring them up as discussion-based questions. And then it has sometimes narration that I'll just do verbally. But as far as like the actual student workbook and the activities and the poems and let's just see. I might as well just grab it. So this is The Stories We Tell from Blossom and Root Year 1. It has a lot of great stuff that we're just not using. Blossom and Root Level 1 has a literature journal, which we are usually working on one of these. So like it says, working together. The characters of the story had to work together to pull the turnip out of the soil. Can you think of a time when you needed to work together with friends or family? So that was a really good discussion. And then it has the narration, retell the story. We usually just do this verbally and I don't write it down. It has the word list. I think I tried this for one day, and what we're doing with All About Reading, oh, and we're doing Explode the Code. I think I forgot to grab that. But what we're doing with it, All About Reading, Explode the Code, it's enough. I don't need this. And then it has mini poem. We did this one time. I didn't think we did it again. I know we haven't done it again. And then it has copy work also, which she isn't ready for. She looked at this and it stressed her out. So this isn't getting used either. So this was really cute. So this was, in the story, the man learns to appreciate his home and family just the way they are. What do you appreciate about your home and family? She said, I love playing with my family and I love them so much. And then she drew a picture of her family. It's so cute. So I really like this page, the journal, literature journal aspect of it, but all the other pages and aspects of this program, I don't think we're gonna use or get to. So this program's been kind of mid so far. We'll see if we use it more or less. I didn't show Explode the Code, I mentioned it, but we are still using Explode the Code. We do about a page, maybe 2 a day, depending on how intricate the page is. I love this program. It's great for reinforcing and practicing. It's a little bit behind, Yeah, I would say it's a little baby behind where we're at in our All About Reading program. So it just really is great review. Moving on. Okay. I think the last program that we are using this year, we haven't started yet. Kinda. So we are going to be starting this week the Little School of Smiths, Me and My Place in Space unit. I'm so excited about this. I've already gone through and highlighted the activities. I have all the supplies, and I did do something a little bit different in terms of supplies for this program. Now, I did get the 2 spines for the book, which book number 1 was Me and My Place in Space. So this book is a spine, meaning it is used every week. It looks super cute, Saturn and its rings, Mars, Earth, and I think we just read about a page or 2 a day from this, depending on which planet that we're learning about. So I got this book. This is another spine that's recommended in the program, DK First Space Encyclopedia. I haven't even looked through this, but let's see. It's very infographic kind of story based, not story, infographic picture based. So I don't know how much she's gonna like this one. When I bought it, I could already tell it was probably gonna be a little over her head for her age. Sorry about the glare. So what I did, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to match this up necessarily with where we're learning, but she loves Lift the Flap books. So I found a Lift the Flap questions and answers about space by Usborne. And if I will kind of, we might do it just a page a day, depending on, because I don't think this book really goes in the order of the Little School. It doesn't go in a similar order to the Little School Smiths unit. So, but it has like where, why, how. It has a lot of question-based stuff. So like how. So it's not based around the planets, but I think she'll really get a lot of enjoyment out of just like lifting the flaps, looking at the pictures, and learning. So I bought this. Now, I went to the library. If you saw my Instagram, I went to the library and I got a ton of library books that were available at that time. I've gone to the library before and when I put books on hold, and by the time I get there, the book has already been taken off hold. I got there too late. They don't have the book on hold. I'm waiting for it forever. So I went to the library and I went to the computer and I was like, okay, what do they have in stock right here, right now at this library about the topic of space that is a children's book? So, and then I searched in picture book format, and then I searched in early chapter book format as well. And then I took that list, and from the computer, I got my phone and I screen recorded the whole list that it showed me, and I put it in alphabetical order, and then I went through all the rows. I looked at the book before I grabbed it, and then I would grab it if I liked it. So with all that being said, I'm probably not going to use some of the optional add-on books from Little School Smiths unless I can find it in Libby or Hoopla just from my phone to be able to pull it up really quick and easy. I did find a lot of great picture books that I'm going to share with you. Let's start off with some of the chapter books that I found though. I picked up Astronaut Girl Silver and Gold. I think this is from a different series. The Secret Explorers and the Comet Collision. And these are all, like I said, early chapter. So they have like a few pictures, not super big words, entertaining. Then I got the ones that are a little bit more challenging. The Library of Ever. I haven't read any of these books. I think this one doesn't have any pictures. So a little bit more challenging. She does like some of those sometimes though. Neil Armstrong and Nat Love, Space Cowboys. We live in Texas, and then it's like Neil Armstrong gets thrown back in time to the Texas, I think. It says, when a spaceship carrying Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin leaves 1969 and lands in 1969 Texas. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it leaves 1969 and lands in 1869 Texas. Cowboy Nat Love decides to trade in his horse for a trip to the moon. Can siblings Doc and Abby untwist history and get everyone back to where they belong? Will we like it? I don't know, but it looked entertaining. It has a few pictures. Sounds silly, so we'll see if she wants to give this one a go. And then I've heard so many good things about this. I think this book is a little too advanced still, but I wanted to give her the option. So this is a Rover story. It's a thick one, but it gave me kind of Wild Robot vibes, and she really liked the Wild Robot. So some of the pages aren't long. It looks like correspondence type stuff. So we'll see. But I showed her all of those chapter books and she chose this one to start with. I think we're on chapter 4, maybe 5. Let's see. Yeah, we're on chapter 5 right now, and it's a really cute story. So we're liking it. This is what we're reading currently in terms of the chapter books. Now, in terms of picture books. My cat's sitting behind me and keeps moving. We got Where is the Rocket? A Kite for Moon. Astronaut Haley's Brave Adventure. Molly's Moon Mission. Once Upon a Star. Papa Put a Man on the Moon. And Earth to Stella. So those are all of the books that I got for our Little School Smith Space Unit that we will be starting this week. I'll probably do an update about how that program's going as we get into it more. Another change is we're kind of we're not going as heavy with Blossom and Root level 1 as I would have expected or was hoping. So another thing that I'm adding in. So I got these books last year for Build Your Library, and we didn't utilize them as much as I would have wanted to, but they're still really great books. They're great spines, and I'm just taking this and tweaking it to make it fit for our family. So I got these books suggested from Build Your Library last year. What we're doing is we're reading A World Full of Animal Stories. I'll usually read about 1 story a week. And then right now, all the stories that we're learning about are from Africa. So I'll read this book. We'll go on the globe and find where Africa is on the globe, on the earth. And then if it does involve a country, we'll find that country on the globe as well. After that, we will look at this Atlas of Animal Adventures and see, okay, today's story was about a cheetah. What I'll usually do is I'll see if there is a story about that same or similar animal, and then we'll go to that animal. I'm just gonna turn to a rampage. This has nothing to do with, but so like that's Europe. Is there, so like puffins and Iceland. So if we read a story about puffins and Iceland, we'll go to this page, and she likes to just look at the pictures. And then the last thing we did is, I know last week was about a lion, and so this is a book, I lost the cover. This is a book of animal poetry. And so what we've been doing is, I'll go to the index. So say we read a book about lions. I go to the index and I'll see, oh no, my power just went out. What just happened? Okay, well, the show must go on, I guess. So I'll go to the index and I'll see if there's a book about lions. So 136, there was poems about lions. What's going on with my power? So then we read the poems about lions in here. Yeah. Now I'm like, squirrel, what's going on outside? It's not even raining. I think I heard it. Something happened. I don't know. Okay, you guys, that is it for the video. I went a little bit longer than expected. It's probably a little bit more in detail than the last video because this is honestly about what we're doing so far. So like I had my plans. Oh, things that I'm probably taking out that I had included in the last video. I have these 2 right here that I had mentioned in the last video. Visual Perception Skill Builds, Book 1, and then Mathematical Reason, Level B. These are out. I am not using these. Maybe in the future, maybe I'll resell them. I do live kind of near a homeschool store, so I had planned on using these, but we're not using them any longer. So I think those are all of the changes to our homeschool year. If you have any questions, if you're using any of the same programs, I would love to know. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully I can figure out what's going on outside. Okay, bye!